What's up guys, Xbox Tech Jockey back today with another video. Today we're finally discussing the Project Scarlett and all the fun details about it that we got from E3 and a little bit more afterwards. And I'm only going to be discussing some of the bigger facts that we know about it. I'm not going to be going over rumors and leaks so far. I'll be addressing one thing about some of the rumors and leaks, but that's about it. Nothing too major. So let's just jump right into it. So first off, what is Project Scarlett? Well, finally we get to know. Project Scarlett, which was, leaked a while back as just codename Scarlett. Project Scarlett is the next Xbox, and it will be coming out next year as a fall or holiday 2020. Thus far, we don't know what the console looks like, and we don't know what the price will be. Though I'm hoping that if Xbox / Microsoft really want to be able to hit home with their players, they're gonna have to make this console at least priced around $500. If they go anywhere above $500, that already is like a big red alert for a lot of consumers. Personally, I work in retail, and people come in and ask me how much it is just for a basic 1S or even a PlayStation 4 or Nintendo Switch, and I had to tell them, oh, it's $299. And even that price freaks them out. They're like, why is it so much? And I'm like, it's really not. It is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but like for what they were, priced at the original times, PlayStation 4 was $400 at launch, Xbox One was $500. Even right now, the Xbox One X is still priced at $500. There are cheaper, ways to go though. There's the 500 gigs of Xbox One S, which is around $280. There is the, all digital edition console, which is around $250. And then PS4 has its own array of things. Switch currently still is at $300, but they are making two new models. There's the new Nintendo Switch that has a better... Why am I talking about Nintendo Switch? God. Anyway, as I was saying, price-wise, I would say they need to really stay around that $500 mark. If they can make it $400, that's fantastic. But with some of the architecture that I'm looking at from their, everyone who's discussing the console, even Xbox themselves, $400 is quite a, that's like Christmas for us, if they make it $400. I don't think it's going to be $400, but I really hope it's not more than $500. But, I digress. We will see what it is next year at E3 2020. The next big thing, when is it coming out? Like I said, holiday 2020, price, no price. The nice thing about the next console, though, is unlike the Xbox One, which only released with a couple games, it came out with other third-party games like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Battlefield 4, when they finally kind of ported them over to the console. If you remember anything from that time, there was dual of each game. You either buy the 360 or the Xbox One version. This next season might be around the exact same, but the nice thing is there's a lot of games that are going to be supported for this console. To begin with, Halo Infinite. This channel talks a lot about Halo. I don't need to discuss it. Halo Infinite's launching with Project Scarlett in holiday 2020, which I will say is an amazing thing because the last time Halo in a console or Xbox console launched together was in 2001, and that was like one of the most beautiful moments for Xbox. It was the first time they came out. So hopefully they can get that magic from 2001 and apply it to 2020. Now next year will be Xbox's 19th year of being alive. So it's a pretty big year for them, especially next year after when it's their 20-year anniversary. Along that, there is also games like Forza Motorsports 8 that actually did get announced at E3 this year, which I was pretty amazed about. Other games by Rare and all the other studios that Xbox just acquired just last year. I'm actually amazed with how many games they kind of kept under wraps at E3 this year. This E3 was kind of Microsoft's big moment to really shine their console, and while it was a really good show, at the same time it was very, I would say, lackluster. I would say there was a lot to it, but there was no gameplay. There wasn't a single game that really showed gameplay, which is amazing because typically, you see a game, they're like, here's our game, here's a trailer, let me show you some gameplay, bye-bye. No, it was just trailer, let's talk about it, trailer, let's talk about it. And even 343 didn't really talk about Halo Infinite until like the next day at, I can't remember, Inside Xbox. But I just think game-wise, Xbox Project Scarlett is going to have a lot of good content when it first launches, which is also very important for a new console release. Now, the next big thing, backwards compatibility. The Xbox One will be forward compatible with the Scarlett. So that means if you're nervous about all your games that you just bought for your Xbox One or bought for your kid, for a birthday or maybe Christmas last year. Maybe you're thinking about buying them an Xbox One or buying yourself one. Do not worry. A lot of the games will be backwards compatible for Project Scarlett. That meaning you can play all the Halo games still on it. Now, I should halt to say that right now I believe they're only working on Xbox One games, which in a way is a little disappointing because we finally just got 360 and original Xbox titles on the Xbox One. If you haven't heard already, the studio or the people behind backwards compatibility has halted, and they are no longer porting any more games from the two past console generations to the Xbox One. And the reason for this is because they are jumping over to the Project Scarlett and now making every Xbox, or not every, but most games from Xbox One backwards compatible for Project Scarlett. And with that said, that means a lot of games and everything will still be playable on Scarlett. So don't fret, you're not basically wasting your money. Another big thing, controllers and accessories will be forwards compatible with Scarlett. And this is actually very amazing because, usually a new console generation comes out and you got to go buy a new headset, you got to go buy a new controller, you got to buy new cords for it. And, with Microsoft out here saying, no, you don't want to do that because we're making everything that worked on the Xbox One work for the Project Scarlett. And that's just great because for people who are going to buy the, Elite Series 2 controller, it's a big, purchase. And by saying that, don't worry, it still works on our Scarlett console, that makes a lot of people more comfortable, more excited. And, a lot of people who are on Xbox One a little more, okay, that's nice to know. And one thing I really want to point out with Scarlett, the way Phil Spencer has talking about it, is while it is a new generation of consoles for the Xbox family, he also kind of makes it sound like while this is still going to be the next gen, don't worry if you're still going to be in, right now it's the current gen, don't worry about it because we're trying to make sure, just the way he's kind of like wording it, I guess, it makes it sound like even if you're staying with the Xbox One when the Scarlett comes out, you don't have to worry about it for a long time because we're going to make sure that both consoles get the right support and a lot of things are going to work both backwards and forwards compatible. And that's kind of really rare. They do say a lot that they want to make sure that the customer's purchase, us buying their console, they want to make sure that that purchase, was safe. Like, we didn't just buy this console and psych, here's a new one, go buy that and get rid of what you just got. They want to make sure that what you paid for, you're going to pay for and use it for a long time. And I think that's really great because, a new console comes out every so often. There's new variations like the 1, the 1S, and the 1X, but the 1S and the 1X don't really matter because, they do matter, but they're not newer Xbox consoles. They're just newer upgrades of what the current family is. And by basically saying, hey, that console will still work and still be viable during the newer generation console gaming, that's pretty great for a lot of people. It really shows that Microsoft wants to make sure that their gamers and their customers are valued and that what we spend should be, used for years to come. So moving on from backwards compatibility, kind of an emotional moment, you can tell I was crying a little bit. We're going to get into a little bit of the hardware. And while I am pretty good at some of the specs for the consoles, I am not a pro. So a lot of things I may or may not get wrong, but I'll try to relay as much accuracy as possible. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. So first things first, the Xbox or the Project Scarlett will be able to do 4K at 60 frames per second. Now they did mention that the Xbox, God, I really want to say Xbox Scarlett, I don't know why. The Project Scarlett console will be 8K capable, and that it will be able to reach as far as 120 frames per second. Now, that's pretty amazing because I've talked to a couple of my friends who work on PCs or know a little bit about computers, and when I tell them that it's like 8K capable with 120 frames per second, they get all mad at me and say that's not possible, they can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what's going on. Microsoft's the company. They do what they got to do. Now, a lot of people who work on PCs will probably agree with them or probably disagree. I guess that's up for discussion. All I'm saying right now is that they do say it is 8K capable, and the console can reach as far as 120 frames per second. Even though that they say it can run up to those, you have to remember developers are only going to focus on certain things. Like, right now with the Xbox One X, some people are still working on, I want best graphics, so let's work on 4K 30 frames per second. I want fluid gameplay, let's work on 1080p, 60 frames per second. So even though that this console will be 8K capable and reach as far as 120 frames per second, that does not mean every game is going to reach those, measurements. They're not going to be able to do it, or they're just not going to be focused on. Now, again, another big thing is TVs. Again, I work in retail. I know a lot of the TV prices, and right now where I work, we don't even have an 8K TV in stock. I know Best Buy has a couple 8K TVs out, and they're pretty pricey. They're in the thousands, and 4K, is still basically just the new, I would say, for a lot of people. Most people come in and still are trying to look for a 1080p TV, and I'm like, we only sell 4K. We sell a couple 1080p, but we only sell a couple 4K. But that's another big problem is, people who are going to be like, I want the best graphics, I want the best everything, they're going to have to go buy this console, which between, I would say 500 and up, and then they're going to have to look at an 8K TV, which is going to be like another, I would say, $1,000 and up. Next year is a completely different year. Next year we could have 8K TVs rolling out, and they're, somewhat cheap, question mark, but I doubt it very likely. Another big thing is the storage. Now, the console, no big word on how much the storage will be, if it's going to be 1 terabyte or if it's going to be more. I would say with the fact that these games that we're going to be seeing the next couple of years are going to have like more amplified graphics, bigger worlds, more gameplay, that they're going to really have to put more than 1 terabyte in, because right now 1 terabyte even on an Xbox One X is basically like getting an Xbox One with 500 gigs. And it's kind of sad because a lot of the games now are starting to go up from, like, back in the day they're like, oh, we need 20 gigs, we need 40 gigs, we need 50 gigs. That's about it. Most games I'm getting now are like, okay, I need 90, I need 100, I need 130, I need 140, and I'm like, whoa, calm down. And if you only have 140, or if a game needs 100 gigs, that's only like 9 games on one console. So I would say they're going to have to amp up how much storage this game comes with, like maybe 2 or 3 terabytes. Another nice thing, though, that they are giving these consoles is a solid-state drive. And basically what a solid-state drive is, it's a better, more, I guess I don't know how to really explain it, but just think of it as a way, way better, hard drive. Basically what this means is it's going to be able to take in more at quicker times. Now, we all know when we pop in a game, it's like, all right, let me download this game, and we wait, 20, 30, maybe even an hour to play one game. Back when I had really bad connection, I would wait like 2 hours to download Halo 5 Guardians, and that's very angry. That's disappointing for someone who really wants to play the new Halo. But they did promise that with the solid-state drive that it's going to be able to go a lot quicker. Download speeds are going to almost, not be gone, but they're going to be a lot quicker. But with that solid-state drive and some of the RAM that's happening with the console, Microsoft is almost promising, they're not saying guaranteed, but promising that load times will be virtually gone. And I don't remember how they explained it because this was back in June, but it sounded like what they're saying is when your console's connected to the internet, your console's going to be basically, instead of it loading the game, it's going to be, the background is going to load the game itself. So basically for you, if you popped in Assassin's Creed Origins, usually that's about 30 seconds to maybe a minute of a loading screen. That loading screen will drop down to like maybe a couple seconds, maybe. And if you've seen some of the leaked footage from the next PlayStation, you will see when they load games like Spider-Man, it went from an 8-second load time on the PlayStation 4 Pro to a 0.8 millisecond load time on the next generation PlayStation, which I'm just going to call PS5 because I don't know why they hide that, unless they change the name. I don't care about PlayStation though. But what we have to understand is, while that is amazing to see, 0.8 seconds for it to... Did I say milliseconds? No, well. 0.8 seconds for it to load a game. We have to remember, again, games are going to be bigger and better when it comes to this next generation. First party studios are going to get a lot more newer tech. I bet you right now, actually I don't even bet you, it's guaranteed that 343 right now has a bunch of Project Scarlett dev kits in their places working on it. Now that doesn't mean the console's completely finished. There's still a lot of stuff. Phil Spencer says he knows what the console looks like. He knows what it's going to be. Or I think he knows what it's going to be called. But right now, the console still has about a year and a couple months till it's even released. So a lot can change from then and now. We won't really know anything until about fall of 2020. But I think I've covered almost everything. Oh, Dan lied. ray tracing graphics. Now, basically what that is it's more of an advanced version of reflections. And now, and not just reflections, but when it comes to lighting in games, or even reflections like from mirrors, vases, anything that kind of portrays reflections from light and, figures, mostly light because that's how it works. Ray tracing graphics are supposed to amplify those, and make them look better and a little more realistic. When you play games like, I can't even think of a game right now, Halo, Call of Duty, and you look up in the sky and you see like the sun rays beating through this, the fauna and like some of the colors popping off of things, or when you're like in a room and a vase gets hit by light. A lot of games try to perfect those as well as possible, but since they don't use advanced equipment like ray tracing graphics, it's not always the best. You go up to a vase or a mirror and they do their best to reflect what you're seeing like a real mirror. But reflection graphics are a little more hard to portray in a video game. But that's basically what ray tracing graphics are supposed to do. They're supposed to make lighting and everything look a lot better for these games. But I think that's pretty much it for right now. The Project Scarlett console is supposed to be around 4 times faster in terms of CPU power than the Xbox One X, which right now the Xbox One X is the most powerful console out there. Console, not PC, console, gaming console. So the fact that they're saying it's going to be 4 times more powerful is amazing. Download speeds and everything should be around 40 times better and faster. But for the most part, Project Scarlett has a lot of goodies still coming. There's still a lot of stuff that are being discussed by Microsoft, and I cannot wait for this console. I'm going to be buying it day one. I'm going to make sure I get the Halo Infinite bundle, which is going to suck because I really want the Halo Infinite Collector's Edition that may or may not exist. Okay, I don't know any of this. And I also want the console. So it's going to be a hard one. Maybe I just save a big penny and buy both and, cry and weep while I play Halo Infinite excitedly. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I'm so sorry it took me so long to get this video out. There's still a lot of stuff that I haven't even discussed with Project Scarlett in this video, but I want to make sure I hit the main points. But what are your thoughts on Project Scarlett? With Project Scarlett, though, another thing I did fail to mention is, and this is what I was talking about earlier, what I wanted to discuss. Last year, or not even last year, just a couple of months ago, I talked about, the Scarletts and how Scarlett is actually more of a code name for a family of consoles. And what I mean by this is we discussed how there's supposed to be more than one console next year. And with that, we had, Project Anaconda and Project Lockhart. But when Phil Spencer talks about Scarlett, he makes it sound like one console. So does that mean that, the whole leak or theory that there's going to be more than one Xbox console coming out next year? Maybe yes, maybe no. We don't know for sure. Right now, it sounds like it's just one console, but that doesn't mean that Microsoft still can't release a cheaper or a more boofed up version of the console in that same year or the years to come. It's no big secret that every time a console comes out, we get a modified version later, like Xbox One S or One X. But for right now, it sounds like Project Scarlett is just one console. We will know more facts for the months to come. Gamescom's coming up, but I doubt they'll discuss anything for Scarlett. I think we're not going to be seeing anything from both companies in terms of 343 and Microsoft till at least E3 2020, which is both disappointing but exciting at the same time. I really hope 343 does announce the Halo Flight for Infinite very soon, though, because I hope they get at least 1 year's worth of feedback in so that the game works better, especially if it's coming to a new console like the Scarlett. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I can't wait for next E3. I cannot wait to see more about Project Scarlett. Hopefully this video was very informative about certain things. If you guys have any, questions or just want to talk about things, please feel free to, ask me down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. See you next week.